Hey guys, welcome back. So today I was gonna just do a little chat. I want to talk about my high school background. So who was I in high school? Um, so I was a very big athlete, not like big like everybody knew who I was, but big as in like I played a lot of sports. So I was very active. We're gonna go back in time to middle school first. So, in middle school, when I was in I guess it starts before middle school. So, my grandpa, he was a coach at D'Iberville where I went to school at for like 30 something years. I say it there, I keep stuttering, I'm sorry. He coached at a couple of other schools, but I'm pretty sure he was with them for like 30 years. But he ended up he coached a lot. He coached basketball, he's coached basketball, football, track, cross country, I think that's it, but he's coached a lot of different things. So with him being my pawpaw, we like growing up I was extremely close to my dad's mom and dad. And if you've watched my previous vlog about my big blended family, my mom and her side of the family are not in my life. So when I refer to Momo and Pawpaw, it would be him and his wife. So we were extremely close to them, being they were my only set of grandparents. And growing up, he's like 6'2" or something. And growing up, I just looked up to him. I always said, "Papa, you're as tall as the trees," because I was so short. And if y'all know me, I'm only like 5'1". So even when I was a little kid, I was pretty short. So I always looked up to him. But he coached and taught and everything. And being around him growing up, I used to go to all of his events. So any track events or cross country events, because my mama used to go and she would, pack the oranges and the waters and whatever they needed. And we would all pack up and go to all the meets and all the events. And I loved every minute of it. I used to warm up and stretch with the girls' team. I was actually in when they won. Don't let me lie, we either won first or second place in cross country, I think. I can't remember if it was in track or cross country. I was only like 7, maybe. If I was 7, I was either 7 or 8, somewhere in there. But they had won, and we either won first or second place, and I was actually in the newspaper with them because I literally went nowhere without being around the team or around my pawpaw. So I thought that was pretty cool. But with all of that in my background, and attending all of the summer practices, because my pawpaw was a teacher, so when I was out of school for summer, he was too. So he was my babysitter ultimately. But I used to go to all of the summer workouts and runs and everything. I loved every minute of it. But being around that, I just knew I was going to run cross country, and I was going to run track, and I was going to be on pawpaw's team, because my dad, he ran for Pawpaw. He was actually one of the very first teams. He was the first cross-country team there at the high school. The same high school I went to is the one my dad and my Pawpaw went to. So, anyways, so it was like this kind of family tradition thing, and I loved it. And it was just what I was going to do. Well, when I was about somewhere between 8 and 10, I played soccer. I wanted to get into some kind of sport and wanted to play soccer. So my dad played soccer as well, so of course, subconsciously, I guess I wanted to be like my dad. So I played soccer and for, the youth team and stuff, and then ended up trying out, I can't remember if it was in 6th or 7th grade, but I made the team, and I was on the middle school team, and I made the track team for middle school. And I made the cross country team for middle school. So I was on all of those athletic sports events or whatever. And my pawpaw, being that he coached at the high school, he didn't want me anywhere near middle school coaches. Um, I'm not even going to get into that, but he just wanted me to, because I don't want to be disrespectful, but he wanted me to be under him, in other words. So I went from being on the middle school team to being on the high school team. When I was in 7th grade, I didn't get to participate in the events in 7th and 8th grade, but he let me practice. I practiced with him on the track team for 7th and 8th grade. But as far as cross country went, I was winning. So in 7th grade, you know, in middle school, but I don't know if it was just we didn't have a lot of competition, or if I just had the talent, because I don't want to sound conceited, but I know that I was fairly good at that age for cross country. And I ended up, sorry, my watch went off. I ended up getting, Pawpaw moved me from 7th grade to, from 7th grade up into high school, because I was winning all the events. I was winning like 2nd place in all the events, and sometimes 1st place. There was, actually, I don't know if I actually won 1st place in any of them. There was one girl who she ended up breaking records and stuff and going on to universities. She ended up being like extremely good and going further in it than me, but she used to win all first. Like, she would leave all of us in the dust. Like, there was no competition at all. She was just that good. And her older sister broke records for like the state of University of Florida and stuff, like just crazy good. Just but so anyways, I wasn't gonna beat her. We knew that at that age. She like was minutes ahead of me, but I was beating everyone else. I didn't have competition because everyone else I was in between her and everyone else. So I had this gap, and I didn't have anybody to pace me. And if you know, just take running in general. If you go for a jog, there's times where you accidentally slow down or speed up. I didn't have anybody to kind of race back and forth with. So he ended up moving me up, and I ended up running with the high school team from 7th grade up until 10th grade when I quit. I quit in 10th grade. I decided to focus more on soccer because I really thought I really wanted a chance to go to college for soccer, and that's where my passions were. I just kind of I burned out, and I lost interest in just running 6 and 7 miles all the time, and just I lost interest, and I think that broke my Pawpaw's heart. Like I said, that's like a legacy pretty much in our family. But I ended up sticking with soccer, so that whole time I was running, and I also did track. Like I said, I was in track for Pawpaw, but I competed at my level, but I practiced with the high schoolers. So that actually made me a lot better. Like in soccer, I don't know if anybody on here watching me is a soccer fan or knows and plays soccer, but if you do, you know what I'm talking about. If you practice with the guys team, or any men in general in soccer, as a girl, as a female, you up your skills like times 10, because they're faster pace, they're quicker, they have a lot more skills, they're more limber, and just the whole pace of the game is a lot quicker, and you have to catch on, and you have to, be there. Well, that was the same concept as me practicing with the high school team, and then, competing at a lower level. But I ended up doing that. I ran track and I ran cross country, and I quit cross country in 10th grade, and I continued. I think I stopped track that year, and then I picked it back up my 11th grade or 12th grade year, or both. I know I ran my senior year, so I can't remember if I did my junior year or not, but we had different coaches. My pawpaw actually got forced retired. He had some heart issues. And so when he quit, it was like, oh, I hated it. But I ended up, we had different coaches all the time. We had a decent track coach for a while, and a great cross country coach though. Coach Megan was a great cross country coach. She was under Paul as one of his assistants for a long time, and she took over. And then when she moved, she ended up moving, going to a different school or whatever. We got Paul's. This is really cool. One of Paul's very first cross country female teams, one of the best that he had on his female team, she came back and took over as coach. I think that's so awesome. And her daughter is she's a beast. Both of her daughters are a beast, but one of them is a beast in cross country. She stuck with it. I think she still runs to this day in college at South Alabama. But anyway, so that's pretty cool. Like a protege took over for Paul. And she ended up dedicating like a little trail thing for him and stuff for cross country. It was really awesome. But anyways, all that aside, that didn't have to do with my video. So I ran cross country, I ran track, like I said, and then I also was playing soccer. So my 9th grade year, as on the soccer team, I was both on JV and varsity. That way I got as much practice as I could in. And there was times that I started on the varsity team, and we had the best soccer coach I've ever had in my entire life, my freshman year. And then she ended up moving to Alabama. If she's watching this, cry a tear for her. But when she left, there was another coach that took over. I love these people as people, but not as soccer coaches. We had 2 more coaches after her, so I went through a span of 4 coaches within 5 years, because a middle school coach, actually went through 2 coaches in middle school, because we had a middle school coach. She ended up, something happened to her, like I think she got arrested or something. We had another coach fill in, and then my 9th grade came around. I finally got settled, got familiar with my team. We had a really great team of talent. So I learned a lot because I had a lot of mentors as freshmen. Most of them were seniors, so I got to learn a lot being on that team. And then when that coach left, my 10th and 11th grade year, we got the girls basketball coach as soccer coach. Love him to death, great person, great teacher. Just wasn't exactly what we needed for soccer. We still made it, and we still won some and lost some. But I don't know. Then when my senior year came around, we got a whole nother coach that came from the middle school. I think she played in college and stuff. Loved her to death. Actually, I ended up finding out I knew her before I even knew she was a teacher or anything. I knew her outside of school, but being I had work and stuff my senior year, I didn't get time to play on the field. I got subbed in and I never started. So we also, being that we had so many different coaches, we never had scouts come and look or nothing like that. And we didn't have tape, we didn't have film, we didn't have any of the things that we needed to exceed to the next level. But I enjoyed it while I had it. It was great, you know, getting to bond, having teams and stuff like that. I loved so this is how my schedule went. In the fall, or actually all summer long, cross country, all summer. Running anywhere from 2 miles to 6 miles. Most of the time it was like a 4-mile run. And then, you know, agilities, workouts, you know, we had weights, we had all kinds of just abs, all kinds of stuff. And we had workouts all summer long. And then when school hit, we had all of our meets and practices. And then in November was state. So I went to state in cross country twice. And I ended up, I would leave. So for me, I'm also a Southerner. You all are gonna laugh at this, but I would go from cross country, I would go from state, being at state in Jackson, Mississippi, to straight over to go hunting because it was opening season of youth. So I would go straight from my cross country state meet straight over to hunting. And the day I did that, y'all are gonna laugh, but I ended up killing a buck that same day. So we got up in a tree stand, there he was in the food plot, boom, got him. And then I was still in my workout stuff, had my tennis shoes on and everything, had my gear on. It was crazy. But that was my pattern, you know, I had a fit hunting season in there. But I would go straight from cross country, and then November would hit, and then soccer season would start, and I would miss all of the beginning soccer practices. But you know, what's it matter? I was running like 6 miles, so I ended up that helped me out a lot because I had the endurance and I had the speed. I'm really little. I weighed like anywhere from 99 to 100 pounds, and I still to this day, the most I've ever weighed is 103. So I'm an extremely small person, but I had the speed behind it. So that helped a lot in soccer. But I would go straight from cross country straight into soccer, and then when soccer season ended was track season started in the spring. Now, there's one sport I haven't mentioned that I did participate in and loved every minute of it. So my 10th grade year rolled around, like I said, I quit cross country and everything, and then somehow one of my friends, shout out to Kennedy, she found, or I didn't even know we had this. I knew the guys did, but I thought it was weightlifting for football. I didn't think, you know, I didn't even know this was a sport. So we actually had powerlifting at our school, and there was only one girl who had participated in it a year before me, or a couple years before me. I can't remember if it was a year or two before me, but she would always go to state every year, but they didn't have a team, so she wouldn't qualify in the team aspect of it, but she did, you know, qualify for competing just by herself. Her name is Arrow. She's a beast. But me and her, we had a big team. The year I went up there, we had a big team, and she couldn't believe everybody that was up there, because I guess she'd have some come in and then be like, nah, I don't want to get bulky or whatever, and leave. Well, for the powerlifting team, we ended up, I think it trickled down into just being me and Arrow at the end of the year. But I went to regionals, I qualified for regionals, then I qualified for, what is it? There's 3 of them. It's regionals, something, and then state. And I went to state the first year I did it, competed, got third, number 3 in the state of Mississippi for my weight class. Like I said, I was in the 105 weight class.